Welcome back to another episode of Allowed to Ask, a First Rounds on Media production. The holidays are just around the corner, and while they bring joy and cheer, they can also feel lonely for some. But with First Rounds on Me, you don't have to go through this season feeling isolated. The app is designed to help you build genuine connections with people who are looking for the same thing as you, a real, meaningful bond. No more endless texting or getting stuck in the pen pal territory. With First Rounds on Me, the focus is on getting you out on a real date, thanks to its 24-hour chat feature. This unique feature gives you 24 hours to chat with your match before the scheduled date, ensuring there's no endless back and forth without a plan. Whether it leads to romance or a new friendship, First Rounds on Me is here to bring people together. Download the app today and make this holiday season one filled with connection and shared experiences. And we have a code. Mom, we're official. Yay. Enjoy a free month of Frome's premium Terracotta subscription using the code A2A. So like allowed to ask. A, number 2, A. Beautiful. Hello.
Hello.
We are sitting here with the lovely Benny Hart. Benny, right? I love it. Benny Hart, who I feel like does a million things and we don't know much about you except for what you put on social media. Yes. So give us all the intros and who you are, and we're so happy to have you here.
I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you guys. This duo is fantastic.
Thank you. It's a little scary, but we appreciate it.
It's so unique and I'm obsessed with it. So. By the way, can you cuss on this? No cussing.
You can literally curse, like take your shirt off, whatever you want.
I just kind of talk.
So do we.
You're so cute. Take your shirt off.
Take your shirt off.
We're potty mouths over here.
I love it. That's what's appealing about this.
Yeah, no. That's the thing is when I tell people I have a podcast with my mom, I'm like, no, it's not like lame and like farty. Like it's like pretty cool because she's a cool person.
Yeah, I can see.
Toot her horn. So yeah, tell us all about you.
I mean, how do I summarize it
like
up?
You're on a date with us right now.
I'll give you like a right. I'll give you like a huge summary of like how I got to where I'm at, but I'll keep it very brief.
Please don't.
I studied psychology in college, and then I was competing in boxing for 6 years in New York at Washington Heights, up in there in Inwood.
Is that fun, getting punched in the face for work?
I think once you see it that way, it's probably not as fun, but I never really saw it that way.
Okay.
But I guess it wasn't really work. It was like, you do something like, it's like a hobby. You develop like a skill, like you play basketball.
Totally. I can't get that, but like I'm proud of you.
But then you're messing with your face.
Then you're messing with your face teeth. A little bit. But yeah, but in the amateurs, like it's all amateurs.
I saw someone comment in your video once, like, do you have veneers? And you were like, they're not veneers.
Veneers? You're like, where'd you get your veneers? I'm like, veneers.
I saw that. I went on a crazy deep dive on your content.
We're teeth people, by the way.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. First thing we look at on someone.
Yeah.
Really?
What about you?
Where's my first thing I look at?
Yeah.
The eyes.
Oh, that's interesting.
First thing.
Nice. Okay.
We're always teeth.
Yeah, that's good.
You can track. Okay, go on. Sorry.
So I competed in boxing, and then once I left college, I had my first startup, which was a fitness streaming company when I was 23 or 24.
How old are you now?
36.
Oh, a while ago.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to age you.
Sorry. I don't mind the age thing. I feel fantastic.
Okay,
that looks good.
So I started that, and me and two other co-founders ran that for like 8 or 9 years. Then we merged with a media company, and then I wrote a book called The Zero Mindset, which is kind of around reframing and recalibrating a mindset of building something from zero. It doesn't necessarily have to be a business, but it can be your personal in your life.
Oh, I like that. It's not just like business growth.
No, it was much more mindset. It was much more like mindset stuff, like risk management and identifying failure, and going kind of like deep diving of like redefining what those things are to you, so you can kind of like pull the sheets back.
Oh, I like that.
But that was interesting for me. And then I kind of got into the whole dating side, because that was like a general gray personal development, which can be very gray for people because it's hard to apply that shit. So I was like, all right, I need to like my niche, the thing I'm really passionate about is dating, but I never wanted to be that guy. I was like, I really don't want to be that guy.
It's funny because I was always the friend too, that like I would always draft the text for my friend and have people come to me for advice. I was like very confident in the space, but then I started talking about it like publicly, and I was like, do I want to be, and now I literally have a fucking dating podcast, but I was like, do I want to be this person? So it's an interesting, I mean, I'm so glad I did. I'm sure you are too.
Big shift. It's like a big identity shift, right? Like people know you for one thing, and you got to be like, I had to take my own advice and start again on something. And, that's why I started on TikTok, because, the thing I was most passionate about, maybe I had more experience over the last 15 years in New York over, that the thing I became most passionate about, I had to redefine myself on TikTok where nobody knew me.
Right.
You know, whereas on Instagram, I was like, I don't want to do it on Instagram. Everybody fucking knows me. So I started on TikTok because I felt like nobody knew. And let me just
like
build my
someone you know
there.
is probably going to see it, but they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, they don't really care. Like my mom's not watching it. Like, you know, like it was the kind of
She's watching mine.
Yeah. Well, my mom she found it eventually. And
Probably no way to avoid it.
Yeah, at first I had to kind of like build it up a little bit, but then the kind of momentum came behind that. Now I do that full time.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Is it really just, do you do a lot of brand deals or is it just strictly through
deals.
TikTok Creator Fund?
No, Creator Fund. I do a lot of one-on-ones. I have a community. Yeah.
Okay, do. We need to hook him up with people. Like to do like, is like confidence coaching you do maybe?
Well,
or like dating advice?
It depends, right? Like before it used to be much more broad, but now it's specifically. So for example, like I do a live show on my TikTok every Monday. It used to be Sunday to Thursday. Now it's Monday to Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And maybe 20 or 30 women call in a night. And they talk through their scenario. Maybe like I'll give like
they
4 or 5
probably all
minutes
want to
each.
date you.
Yeah, what the hell? Are you single?
I keep it very
Wait, look, are you single?
No. But I keep it very like I don't play that. When they call it, no, I mean, no, I'm not saying I'm talking to somebody. It's a little new, but
Okay. No, okay, we can get into that if you want.
Sure.
But maybe I'll give you dating advice from a girl's perspective.
Hey.
Interesting. Did you ever meet anyone through these like people who are reaching out to you constantly?
When I always say the slip or slide, what do I say?
Oh yeah, my mom used to always say like, "Why don't you just slip into their DMs?" I'm like, "It's slide."
Slip into the DM.
I'm like, "It's slide
Slip
into
your
their
ass in the
DMs."
DMs.
Literally.
Slip away.
Oh, just slide into
No,
the DMs.
that's so amazing that you grew such an incredible company and niche through this. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then like, so I'm doing like a platform I'm launching next month, which is really just my own subscription platform. It's not like it's not a dating app per se.
Okay.
But it's called
Yeah, we were
Dating
gonna
with
ask you
Purpose.
about that.
Yeah, it's called Dating with Purpose. So basically the people that are in my community, the people who want to focus a little bit more on dating and want community to back it up. I'm gonna be doing live streams on there. I'll be doing Q&As.
cool.
So I kind
Love
of do
it.
them all on there as opposed to just doing
Are
everything
you
on
on
TikTok and Instagram.
Patreon? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
No, see that was one way to do it would have been like Patreon or Discord or something, and I just decided
Just for her,
to go
no, Patreon's like a subscription type channel where you can like pay and subscribe to see people's contents like himself.
Right. I see a
You
lot
can,
of
like-
people on
Yeah.
Instagram.
You can like bring your community to a paid community like Patreon.
Yeah.
I just decided to build my own app to do it as opposed to like going through Patreon. I'm just gonna have like
Right.
a Benny app in the app store, like as opposed to
Right.
And most of your community is women.
like maybe like 85%. Like 85%.
I was gonna ask you, if like because I find it interesting when like a man does female dating approaches and tips,
Sure.
and then a woman does male. But I
Sure.
guess it's an interesting approach. At the end of the day, like a man's mindset way more than women do. In a way.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with you on that. I think what happens is a lot of the content that I tend to see when it's kind of geared to women and men, they're a little bit different, obviously. But sometimes when I see it geared to women, it's a little too pat on the backish. It's a little too don't
You're
worry.
literally the modern
I'm
day
just,
Ugly Truth. Have you seen that movie?
I have not seen that.
You have to see The Ugly Truth. You're
Ugly
literally him. I'm blanking on the actor's name, but he's incredible. And he has a TV show where women call in and he's just like, sorry, you're probably just too fat and too ugly for him. He's like literally so hard. It's with Catherine.
Someone else told me about
Heidel?
Yeah, whatever. It's so good. And then
Somebody else
obviously,
told me
like,
about this. Yeah.
you would love it. You're literally him, but he's obviously probably way more harsh than you are.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes it's good for like girls and women to hear kind of a not harsh, but like not the rubbing and patting you on
Not
the back.
sugar-coated.
Yeah, not sugar-coated. And I think that's an approach that I would take all the time with like myself or my friends, like not be hard on people or myself, just be like kind of straight to the point on what the situation is.
Sure. I mean, like I say, listen, I think that guys are very harsh with each other. Like,
Yeah.
you're a pussy, man. What you doing? Like it's like that sure looks stupid on you. You look fat as a
No,
motherfucker.
it's so
Shit like that. And you're like, what are you doing? And like
Yeah.
it kind of frames you to think about it differently, right? Like you just as a guy, you kind of have to do it. Whereas like I feel like a lot of guys and girls that I hear give women specific dating advice, it's a little more, they care a little bit too much about being accepted by them and they don't want to hurt them a little bit. And I'm not trying to hurt them, but I think it's a more important thing. Maybe like, why don't you just hear more of an objective side of it?
Right.
And I talk as if it was my sister I'm talking to. I don't talk as if I have some other agenda. It's really like if I had a sister, this is what I would tell her.
Do you think you learned a lot from having a sister?
I don't have a sister.
Oh, I thought you said
So who was your
If I
biggest?
did have a sister, this is what I would tell her.
Who was your biggest influence in your life, like that you got into this whole dating and? women?
The reason why
Dating
dating, I don't
women.
know. I don't know if I had like one influence of made me want to do that. I just think my experience in like the city and dating in my 20s and my early 30s, I kind of, understood a little bit about some of the bigger issues that were going on. I just wanted to talk about it in a different way. But again, it took me a very long time to talk about it.
So now you kind of date with intention more so than in your 20s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I talk about
We hope.
everything I talk about is dating with intentions.
Yeah.
Right.
Even when I talk to
But in your
Women
20s,
about
you
it.
weren't dating with intention.
No.
When you were wrestling, you were just probably a bad boy.
bad boy.
Do you
Bad boy.
What would you say were your biggest red flags when you were dating in your 20s?
Just I wasn't committal. I had no
But is that a red
concept.
flag though? If you don't want to be committal, I don't think that's a red flag.
No, it just depends on what phase you're in. I don't know.
True.
It depends, right? Like if somebody wants to be taken, that might be a red flag for somebody.
Right.
I probably had a couple different red flags when I was in my 20s.
We love
Of course.
self-awareness. Yeah. No,
Of course I did.
absolutely.
in my 20s, I was broke. So that was, I can consider that a red flag.
Yeah,
right there.
no, that's not a red flag.
I
You're in
wouldn't
your
say I'm-
20s. You probably weren't even established at all the way you are at 36.
At all.
But
I
you've
was-
done so much already, like fitness and
You've hit every industry.
wrote
Been
a
a couple
book.
different
And,
industries. Yeah, it's been interesting, but this has been the fastest growing that I've had.
Well,
very
TikTok's a
easily.
crazy.
TikTok is, but you know what's funny? Like Instagram, I only started putting content, specifically dating content, on Instagram 2.5 months ago.
Oh, and that's when I found you.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
That
Because
it
on
just popped up?
Instagram, because I have a lot on TikTok, but on
Yeah.
Instagram, I went from like 8,000 to 103,000 in 2 months.
It's nuts. You probably just like repurpose all the content.
I just took all my content and just put it on Instagram.
You want to know who did that too? Murray Hillboy. We had this guy on Murray Hillboy. He's amazing. And when we had him on, he like wasn't on TikTok yet or Instagram. And literally after our podcast, he went on, uploaded all of his videos. He had like 30K followers in like 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like nuts.
Wow.
But good approach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think also what I love, I know we were just saying this before we started, but what I love about your content is it's just so relatable. Like every topic that you post is a topic that a girl or woman has thought about. Like, should I text him? What is this? Why is he acting this way? Like all those things are so relevant. It's not like niche or it's not like so specific. It's like, it's perfect. I love your content
I
so much.
appreciate that.
of
No, I
course.
really think about it because I try to be as original as possible. I don't listen
Yeah.
to like other dating. If it hits my feed, I really don't try and listen to it because I don't want anybody. Oh, that was where this came from. Like most of the stuff is either from like my personal experience or what I would imagine. And I talk to a lot of women. Like,
Yeah.
That must be a tough job.
it's crazy. It's so difficult.
I talk to a lot of
Oh,
women.
wow.
I'm literally like flooded with women in my DM.
No, I think that the conversations, like when I do the live call-ins or when
Yeah.
one-on-ones, I do, meaning like I kind of have like I have a basic understanding of some of the issues. depending
Yeah.
Are they
on
more
what phase they're
local,
in.
these women, or are they
No,
calling
they're
you from
all
all over?
All over. I have women from Zimbabwe, from fucking UK,
Wow.
Yeah.
Australia. It's wild.
Wow.
You're like, wait, you're Australian?
Hop on over.
Yeah, right. Hop on, do it. Australia.
What would you say is the
Hilarious.
most like common, for lack of a better word, like issue that women come to you about?
I think in general, it's like a overarching idea of miscommunication, of like lack of understanding. Most women
Yeah.
they're trying to figure out what to tap in like to, and
Yeah.
regardless of what phase they're in, right? Like makes a big difference. Like if they're in their 20s, and I kind of distinguish those two phases. Either you're like kind of in your 20s and you would like to get married or have children one day, which most women I talk to typically do want
Yeah.
at some point.
Some point.
Or you're maybe getting a divorce and you're not concerned with that specifically,
Right.
and now you're just trying to like date somebody and find somebody to share your life with.
Do you have a hard time giving advice around like if it's like an older woman who's going through a divorce or like because I feel like you have such a good perspective on this age demographic, I would say, but do you find yourself talking to a lot of women who are a lot older and going through divorce?
I do, actually,
Yeah.
because it's funny because like those same women have kind of similar experiences to somebody just entering the dating market here because for somebody that maybe has going through a divorce now who's never dated, and I'm not talking about like ever dated, but ever dated in the last 5 years, which is drastically shifted.
Right.
Like if you haven't dated in the last 5 years, it's important to like take these baby steps and like really start
Right.
small. Like,
Right.
and I think that sometimes it
We
can
had a
be
therapist on
overwhelming,
and she
like
said the same thing.
Right.
Really?
Literally the same thing.
But I always say, because I have friends who have kids who are in their late 20s and they don't even know if their kids date. But you kind of got to put yourself out there. It's like looking for a job. Like you got to, put yourself out there, see what you like, what you don't like. I mean, if If you don't, you'll never know.
Yeah, most people have kind of lost the idea of real world interaction. Like, it's very difficult. Like, I'm telling you, like, I talk to people and I'm like, eye contact. I can never make eye contact with a guy.
That's her biggest
I'm like,
thing.
holy shit.
Biggest thing. After a date, if a guy wasn't like, look, I don't need you to be like staring into my soul the whole entire time. That's weird. But more just like, I've been on dates with guys in the past where like the whole time they're like cross-eyed in the other direction. Like there's zero eye contact. And I think eye contact just shows a whole different sense of confidence.
Totally. And even like random, like when you meet people out and about, like I have this acronym called PES, proximity, eye contact, smile. It's like the main thing. I use it all the time, like to meet guys and how to meet people, proximity, eye contact, smile. And I'm telling you, it works so much.
Right.
It's just that it's so disregarded.
Yeah.
A lot of women are like, I can't even look at the guys I like. I can look at the guys I don't like.
Right.
But when it comes to the guys I like, I look away.
But you know what it is also? So many people are buried in their phones.
Yeah.
They don't even look up to see their surroundings or whatever. That's a whole nother thing.
Which brings me to a good point. Not the phone thing, but like proximity and eye contact and smiling. How would you say, what is the best way to approach someone? Because I'm thinking of a time when we were walking on the street together and there was just like very good looking guy across the street with like a dog. My mom and I were just like, I was always more than comfortable going up to someone. I didn't need my mom with me. And we were like yanking each other. And she's like, come on.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go pet his dog.
Yeah, I was like, she's like, we have to go talk to him.
He's cute. The dog's cute.
Yeah, but like, it's obviously very hard for a lot of people to approach someone, whether it's at a bar, a coffee shop. Like, what would you say? I feel like there's so many situations where people are like looking at each other, but no one makes the move.
Smile.
You know, the smile is like the conversion tool, I always say.
Yeah.
Because like in terms of like the approaches are different. When I tell guys is very different from what I would tell a girl.
Let's hear both.
Well, because a girl, I don't specifically say approach a guy, because reality is it's not that it couldn't work. It's probably definitely going to work. It's just that you really don't know how interested he is, because you kind of just give it to him where he might not really like you, but he'll still take you. Like it's one of those things, right? Like you don't know how interested he really is.
Right.
Like if you just give it to him, he might be like, yeah, I would never really, but she's giving it to me, so I'm going to just take it. Whereas that really would never happen the other way around, right? Like you kind of, a guy, you kind of have to approach in a very different fashion.
Interesting, because my big thing is like, if you think someone's cute, like go up to them. The worst thing they say is no.
I don't disagree with you, but I just think you got to be careful with that, because I know a lot of women that do, which most actually women don't do that. But
no,
if they did,
I know it's very, very
bold.
rare.
Yeah.
But men are also hunters, so maybe they like to.
I think men are hunters, but sometimes I think men can be pussies and they don't come up to you.
I don't disagree with you. I think men could be full pussies.
Right. Yeah, full blown pussies.
I don't disagree with you. I say give him the reason to want to. If he doesn't take advantage of it, let it go. He can't. If he's not the type of guy that want to approach you,
have a simple smile.
No, get near him, look at him, and give him a smile.
like
Yeah, literally, just look at him, give him a smile. She'll just look at him. Yeah, and like, you know, if you start doing too much, like, you know, if you start putting on his plate, I think you got to measure his interest, and it's hard to measure his interest if he's not willing to do nothing for it.
Right.
You're like, all right, like if you can't relate, just make a little bit of eye contact and see how he uses that.
All goes back to eye contact.
Yeah, it does.
That's
the interest. That's the main frame of interest.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think, I mean, right now with dating apps, there's obviously so many ways to meet people, but we were just saying before, like there's such a loss of like meeting people in person these days, which I think is the best way to meet people, whether it's being set up or, you know, you see someone you're working in a coffee shop and someone's cute across the way. Like I feel like people are losing the ability to talk to people.
It's even more powerful now than it's ever been, just because of how saturated online is, right? Like everybody's focus is online, but like the minute you have a real world experience with somebody, you're like, oh wow, that was actually felt really good. That was really magical. Yeah. It was nice. And you just kind of like get numb to not feeling that.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
And I also think sometimes when you're in apps, it's like a candy store.
Right.
It
like,
is.
It's
so addicting too for people. And like, you know, it's like, obviously it's like the number one issue that people are facing today is like the overwhelming portray of options and the option pool, and there's always something better.
People always say like there's overwhelming a lot of options, but also people say there's no one to date. So there's no winning. There
is not really a winning, and that's part of the problem. Is like when you have more options, you tend to spot flags quicker, right? Like if I'm sitting on a date with you, and like you're sitting on a date with me, and like you see me, and let's say you have 102 others that are kind of like sitting in your DM.
Yeah.
It's kind of easier to look at me and be like, well, did I like when he just did that? What did he just do that? Yeah. Like, maybe I don't really, maybe I got some others. Maybe this isn't really for me. Whereas like now, you know, before like my parents and, you know, and my grandparents' time was just kind of used to swim in ponds. You know, it was like everybody was in a pond kind of.
Right.
Now we're all in the ocean.
Right.
It's very difficult to like,
It was much easier way back when.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have like some random dude from Argentina hitting you up talking about, I'm taking you out next week.
And I'm coming to New York. It's like,
what?
shut up.
What?
Stupidest shit ever.
But it does get in people's minds, right?
Totally.
It does sit there and you're sort of like, is that real? You know what I mean? Like it's still a thing.
Yeah. No, it
Wild.
absolutely is a thing.
Fucking wild.
I had a question and it's just passing me, but I'm totally blanking. I'm blanking, but I wanted to play like a little game. It's not even a game, it's just questions. But we've had so many women on here who share their perspective. So we're happy to just have a guy who's in this space and just, I feel like, answer the questions that so many women are thinking about and get your thoughts on things. So I titled the section, Things Girls Want to Know. Does response time really matter when it comes to dating via text?
Depends on the context. It can.
Okay.
When
does it matter?
What do you mean? Well, it depends, right? We're talking about response time a day. Are we talking about response time an hour? Like it depends on lifestyle too.
It's not, look, and I was never one to like want consistent texting either when I was dating, but more so I know a lot of women get in their heads around like, he takes like 5 hours to respond every single time we text.
Well, maybe he's not so interested.
Well, that's what my question is he not interested? Is he just busy?
But you could only measure real interest through does he ask you out and does he communicate with you consistently enough? Now, if he's not responding, if you're talking about a couple of days, then you know you can make an argument he doesn't sound that interested.
Right.
But if he takes you out every week and he's consistent with that and he responds to you every day, or maybe he gives you a call or a FaceTime, that's why contextually it matters. It matters what he does. It matters does he not like the text. It matters guys really don't communicate with this like to each other.
Do people call anymore in your
It's funny
generation?
you say that because I was just thinking like when I was dating, there was like a rare times when like a guy would call before the date and I would like, it would feel so nice. Like I remember I used to like text my friend and be like, he called me to like tell me where we were going. Like that's so fucking lame. Like of me to be so enamored by that.
But
like
when you were young, you would FaceTime for hours with guys. Could you imagine doing that now?
what are you talking about?
You did. When you were young, you would FaceTime for a
There's
really
like
long time.
one guy that I was seeing that I did that with. Like,
Okay,
we need
then
to get
it
over
was
that.
him.
Okay.
Okay.
So you like
you don't-
FaceTime with
But they don't.
Like, I
you don't.
don't.
But you don't do that anymore.
No,
do
I'm like,
people?
I'm a full-blown adult. I got shit to do. I'm not like a little college student running around with like a crop top on. But I lost my train of thought now.
So I think contextually it matters, depending.
Right.
But I
But
think
I like
it can.
your idea of
It
like,
can.
it's like if he's asking you out, who cares?
That's what I always say because this is one of the big things women call in is like, oh, he didn't text me back for a couple hours. I'm like, he's not one of your girlfriends. He's not in your fucking group chat. He's a guy. And guys don't talk like this to one another.
Right.
We don't say, oh, what'd you do today, Chad? We don't talk
No, it's
like
literally
this.
so crazy because even like when I ask my boyfriend now, I'm like, girls are just so different. I'm like, oh, like how was your day or what'd you do today? He's like, it was good, and I'm like, wait, I want more. And he was like, what do you mean? Like I was just at work, and I was like, what'd you eat for lunch? Like how did that meeting go? And then I'm like, he's like, how was your day? I'm like, I went to the gym. I had 4 work calls. Then I got a new biz. I'm like word vomiting.
It's so funny because guys really, I don't know. I mean, there are a few guys that do this, but most guys really don't communicate.
I've never met one.
They really don't talk like this. I couldn't stand it when my girlfriend would ask me something like that. I'd be like, oh my God, I got to explain this to you? This is exhausting.
What'd you have for lunch?
Oh my God,
Literally,
terrible.
It's funny because I used to always say, like, when I first started dating anyone really, like when it's getting like a little, like after a few dates, I'm like, I don't need to talk with you all day. Like, I don't really care what you had for lunch. Now I'm in a full-blown relationship. I was like, what'd you have for lunch? What kind of dressing was on your salad? Like, I like shift.
It's so funny because at the opposite side, if it becomes too much,
Yeah.
a lot of women will talk about, oh, he started to love bomb me. He started to get so interested.
I want to get into that.
So it's a really interesting like little mix here. And quite honestly, a lot of women say they want all this communication, and they really don't. They'd rather not.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line of what's perfect amount of communication, because there was this guy, like I didn't even meet him. I never met him before. We just like matched on an app, and I never really wanted to text before a first date. Like, I don't know you. I want to save the getting to know you in person. And long story short, he was just like when I say nonstop texting, like he was like a panicked mother when your daughter's not answering you. Like he was nonstop texting, asking just like random questions. Like I drove into the city for the first time ever. He was like, where'd you park your car? Like just really niche, weird questions.
Did you go on a date with him?
No.
Yeah.
I figured that was gonna be the answer.
I didn't because I was like, you know what? I was in the stage where I was like, you know what? Like,
I
I'm
remember
in
you
like a
were
yes
creeped
phase.
out.
Like, why not go? But I felt so uncomfortable by his texting that I was like, I'm not desperate. I don't need to go on this date. So I canceled. And then his response actually said it all. He said something like shows your real because he said like, oh, maybe we should reschedule. And I never got back to him. And he was like, oh, shows your maturity, like real nice of you. He kind of like went off at me. And I'm like,
got a little snippy, huh?
Got a little snippy.
Yeah.
A little chihuahua-ish.
No, like, I don't like it. But I don't know. That really turned me off and honestly freaked me out, if anything.
I agree. Well, I think that like a lot of the prevention for date number ones is from this like from match or from meet to like first date. And a lot of times there's like a big fuck up. And most of the times is the guy where like he'll do too much or he won't do much at all. Like there's like a weird, maybe he got weird, maybe he said something stupid.
Right.
There's always these little things that prevent the first date.
I had such a weird one. So remember that one guy said to me, like, just imagine me picking you up in an Uber and like placing my hand on your lower back.
All right.
I was like, I never met
Texted
him.
you that?
Next.
I was like, we haven't met yet. Like, you don't
No,
even
he
know.
wanted to take you on a motorcycle and he wanted you to hold him.
No, he was
that's
so
wild. That's wild.
so wild. The people that like I even considered years ago is so scary to think
Was
about.
this very entertaining for you, like back in the day, like when you would hear, like,
my
was
God.
it like a thing?
I know.
All I want her is be happy,
No,
but she
don't
was
don't give a
definitely
lame mother response.
But it was
she
definitely
was
entertaining.
living for it.
Like a show.
But she's also funny.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I see that. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. This isn't a podcast. It's just a comedy skit.
Right. But also when she was young, she always had a boyfriend. So this only really started from when she graduated college.
This actually really
Up
when I started
until
from,
6
like,
months ago.
Yeah,
she was
like
just all over the
no,
place.
but I think I like started dating seriously like a year and a half ago when I was like, okay, I need to stop dating these losers.
Right. Well, you were also, done. You got it out of your system.
Let's not say that.
Okay.
Okay, back to things girls want to know. Should the girl text first?
At times.
At times.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
no, at first altogether, no, but there has to be a balance. I agree. Here's the thing, right?
I literally hate when girls are
I
like,
just hate it.
hate it.
So
I hate it.
It's so absurd because they self-sabotage good scenarios.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, I know plenty of great guys that if they don't get some reciprocation, they're leaving.
Right.
They're not just going to be like, oh, I'm going to be the one. No, they need to know your interest because a lot of guys double down when they feel like you're actually interested. If they like you, they tend to double down on it.
Yeah.
But if they don't get that, they're going to be like, if I have other options, why am I going to entertain this? Like, I'm not chasing this girl.
Interesting.
I totally agree. And I think also, right, there needs to be, I do think in the beginning stages when it comes to planning and kind of moving things along, I do think it should be the man's
Agreed.
job. Blue job, as my best friend Rachel says.
Blue job
or pink job.
I love that.
The blue job.
Not cute.
That's nice.
But when it comes to like a part of that, it doesn't mean the girl should just like sit back and wait for it to come to her. I do think if like a girl wants to see a guy again, that she needs to showcase that.
I agree, I agree. And I think that there's been this like niche community online on like the TikTokification of like this like empowerment role for a lot of these young girls that are basically saying, if he wanted to, he would. I'm like, what?
No,
I'm like, no, actually, it's not, doesn't really work like that. That's most of the time. Yeah, of course, if he wanted to, he'll plan, of course. But most of the time, a lot of that statements, those if he wanted to, he would, is really just like alleviate any responsibility from you. And
Yeah,
put it all in the guy.
so true.
And it's like this weird, like, toxic cycle of like, don't do nothing. He should be doing it all. I'm like, not at all.
Right. I also think, I don't know, I think at least for myself personally, when I was always very forward and upfront with what I wanted in dating. And I think if anything, when it comes to like finding your person, it's not going to scare them away in a sense. Like a guy's not going to end it with you because you texted him, hey, first. Like, and if that's the case, if he's turned off by that, he's not going to be the one for you anyway.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I'm about transparent. Like I'm a big, when I talk about it, I'm a big on communication. Like I don't play this. I don't do this
My
whole
favorite
interest
word.
game. What? Which
Communication.
one? Yeah.
It's my favorite word.
Right.
And you're good at it.
I'm a little too good at it.
I think there's a lot of like, kind of like getting him to chase you or like, getting like showing less interest so you get to like
Yeah,
pull
no
back.
games.
I'm like, well, you can't game a guy's interest.
Yeah.
I know it feels like you can, but you start gaming a dude's interest, he starts chasing you for the wrong reasons.
I agree.
He's going to chase you because he wants to conquer you, but he doesn't really like you.
Right.
It's a very different like chase.
Yeah, I agree.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
No, it's
Food
true.
for thought. So we always say that everyone circles back around. And it's funny because my friend literally had this situation where a guy circled back around and she called me and she was like, you're right. He circled back around. Whether it's if they want to just sleep with you or date you or have you whatever for the night. Why do guys pop back up? Whether it's after they ghost you or if they say they're not interested, why do they always circle back around?
So I want to give a simple answer, but
Because they're bored?
well, yeah,
They want to sleep with you?
that's one reason.
Yeah.
Are you talking about a guy that's had a relationship with you or a guy that's just like seeing a couple of times? Because those are two, like, you know, if you have a
Dating for a
relationship-
couple of months.
Dating,
and then they
like-
always circle
Or
back.
not, yeah, like dating for a bit. Like for a few months. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so
It's
for like
fun.
a few months, I feel like there's some like,
getting to the point where like you're on like date 5, 6 and it's like, okay, are we progressing this or are we
Sure.
cutting it off? And
Sure.
then they cut it off.
sure. I think that there's, you know, when it doesn't go as planned or when he doesn't find somewhere else, there's some familiarity with you. And it's like kind of
Yeah.
already to a point where he's probably like, well, let me revisit. Let me see.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't his first choice last time, but maybe he's like, oh, I like the idea of her again. Let me revisit this a little bit.
Right.
And
Revisit.
maybe he just wants to, maybe he wants to see, depending on if he slept with you before, but
Yeah.
maybe he wants to see if that's an option.
No, my
Well,
friend
5, 6
literally had
dates.
this situation and I was so proud of her. She's like, you'd be so proud of me because they saw each other out and like she knew that he like obviously was like, oh, we're gonna go home together. Like we're out. We haven't seen each other in a while. Last time I saw each other, he was like, I don't want anything serious. Saw each other out. My friend's like the hottest person on the planet. So obviously he was like, oh, we're going home together. We've already slept together. So she went back to his apartment, but she was like, I'm not sleeping with him. I'm not. And she ended up leaving. But he was like
Wow.
literally on his hands and knees, like begging, like, please, I miss you. I want to spend time with you. And she left. And I was like, go queen.
But then
and then
once he done-
he
oh.
called her the next day.
Oh, wow.
Oh no,
Progress.
she was like, he called her while we were on the phone and she's like, I'm gonna call him back after, which reminds me I need to get the tea on that. But
Why did she go back to his place? I'm just curious. Just to like
she
see?
literally was like, I was a weak woman in the moment.
Oh, okay. Like, was she appealed by it? Did she want to do that? And then she was like, oh, I don't want to.
She's one of my best friends and she's so self-aware. She was just like, yeah, like it was nice to like have that attention from him after like wanting something more. And he was like, I don't want anything serious. But then when she got there, she was just like so turned off by the idea of like them just being together because it was like after midnight. Do you know what I mean? So
That must have felt so
left.
good. Empowering.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure.
strong, powerful
Yes.
women.
Love that.
Wait, because he said he didn't want anything serious at first?
Yeah, so she brought it up to him like a few months ago and was like,
Yeah.
they got a point where she was like, I always tell her like, and my biggest thing is like, when you're talking to a guy about what we are or asking what you are, it's saying what you want. It's like, I'm really into this. Like, I would love to progress this with you and want to make sure you're on the same page. So like, you disagree with what my approach is, do you? Oh
No.
no, I was just looking at your facial expressions.
No.
I
I agree.
She did that and he was like, I'm not looking for that right now. I think you're great and like we can keep it casual. But she was like, fuck casual.
Yeah.
So that was the situation.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
In fact, I always tell, and women don't really like when I say this, but
Yeah.
women should actually be the ones to get to the point to say like, so what are we doing? It depends, right?
Interesting.
I got my backing.
No,
for
but
it.
But how
I'm
far
the same
into
way.
Depending on like where they're at, like what phase, like we talking about, like if they're in their 20s and 30s and they want these things,
Yeah, if they want these things.
yeah, then that's at 3 months or below. Like I'm talking
Right,
about like
okay,
that 3
yeah.
months mark.
I was right on par.
This time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were ready after like 1 month.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But yeah. Okay, so I'm glad we're on the same page there.
Totally. Like I've done a ton of content on that. Basically, I've even given examples of how to say it because a lot of women don't know how. If I
Let's hear
say,
it.
If I
Yeah.
say, okay, just do that, they'll be like, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, number one, you could just say, hey, listen, I like what we got going on here. I really like you, but in order for us to move forward and the way things have been going, I'm looking for commitment. If that's not something you want,
We're
I
simpatico.
totally get it.
Yeah.
No issue, but this is what I'm gonna need to move forward.
Yes.
If that isn't, it's okay, but this is it. And it gives him a place. He's like, actually, he's gonna think, wow, I actually really respect that she came at me like that. You can't hate the way she came at you. If you don't
No.
want to commit, you don't commit. But at
Right.
least he knows what it is.
Right.
And I always say that's the first thing you need to start doing. To start doing things with more intention, more purpose. You
Yes.
can't, let's just wait till he does. I talk to so many women, they're like, let me just wait till he does. I'm like, why would you do that?
Why
Right.
would you do that? And also, I say,
do
I
that?
Because
said
they
to the
probably don't
same-
want to lose them. They're scared they're going to say something
Exactly.
to them, and then they're going to be like, you know what, this isn't working.
A lot of
because this
women
is
are
what I
fearful
want.
that this is the best they could do and they don't want to ruin it.
Right.
Because if they ruin it, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna get a
That
guy that's
is-
this good.
Totally it
Wow.
too. And the same friend too, we were talking about another guy, and she's
busy.
She's the best ever. Of course, she's busy, but
we don't use names.
Well, when it's like this personal, right? Do names, but she was in the same situation with someone else and was like, I really, really like him. I want to see what he wants. And I was like, my big thing I always say to my friends is like, approach these conversations with how you're feeling. Like, don't be like, what do you want? Like, don't give him that power, or vice versa. Like, if a guy's, it can go the same way. A guy can say to a girl, like, what I want this out of the situation. And she said to me, she was like, but I'm nervous he's not going to want the same thing. And I'm like, you know what? But if he doesn't, then you're done wasting your time.
Stop wasting his time.
And the funny thing is, this is why I always say, I tell women on first dates to ask. I tell women to get on the same page first date. Number one.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
First date.
How do you say that without sounding like a fucking weirdo?
Well, you don't necessarily tell him what you're looking for.
Right.
That you ask him. Like, depending on what you want, right? Like, if women call in my show all the time, they say, well, I don't know. Like, they got 4 or 5 weeks in. They're like, well, I said, so what is he looking for? He said, I don't know. I never asked him. I said, what do you mean you never asked him what the fuck he's looking for? I was like, how do you get to this point and you have no clue? Because they're afraid that they don't want to scare him off. I'm like, a guy that's ready is not going to get scared off by you asking him what he wants.
My only thing with that, bone to pick here, and I agree. I think I remember actually asking my current boyfriend like what he's looking for in dating. But when it comes to someone,
not the first date.
I think I remember the second date. I was like, so like you're like going to be serious about dating, right? But I think when it comes on the first or second date, you don't really know the person yet. So don't you think a guy could just say like, oh yeah, like I'm looking to date. I'm looking to be serious and just to kind of get you.
No, I think it depends on how you ask the question, right? Like if I ask you, if I say, so what do you like? If you told me beforehand, oh, at some point I would like to get married and I would like to have children, right? Let's just say that's what you wanted.
Okay.
Now you have to ask him. You say, hey, listen, is marriage something you value? Is that something you want in the future? Hear his answer. And if he says, no, or if he says, I don't really know, okay, take the information you have. It doesn't mean you have to disqualify him.
Right.
Do you see yourself having children in the future? Is that important to you? Okay. Now you understand, like, this is to set the tone. Because, in my opinion, first dates are supposed to be a little bit of chemistry, a little connection. You're supposed to have some fun, but you need to kind of get to like, do we want the same things? Like, if not, why would you go on date 3, 4, 5? I don't understand.
Sure, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, but when you listen to what he says, like if he says, I don't see myself ever getting married, then okay, then if that's important to you, then maybe this isn't for you, even if you kind of like him a little bit. True. Because I think there's some connection points that are really important to get. And if you don't get these, we want the same things, or we want a similar lifestyle, or we see our lives going in a similar fashion. Right. But if you don't get to that point, like there's nothing that's gonna be weird about that.
But that's a few dates in.
No, he's saying do it on the first date. Why would
I would think the guy would be like, the hell? Like,
but then again, if that is scaring the guy away, he is not for you.
And it's again too right. I think I need to bring this up too. It's not about like drilling. It's not an interview. It's like it's one way is asking it is literally like, so do you want to get married? That's one way. It's very direct. Yeah. Or is marriage something you value? Yeah. Casual. Yeah. It's nice. It does no pressure. It's like, oh, she's curious.
You just ask it like so cool and
it's curious.
No, but we can have children. I mean, do you want kids?
It's like a curiosity though. Like when you ask somebody, when somebody asks you a question that stems from like curiosity, like, oh, they're really curious. Right. Yeah. Not like they're trying to drill me. This isn't a test. Right. Naturally, you want to find out what are they looking for, and if he's saying, "Oh, this is weird,"
it's so unlikely to ever be chill in that situation. But
I get it.
That's just like me as a human being. Like I'm sure on like my first day with my boyfriend, I'm like, so like this is like we're dating, right?
I think right. I think I say first date is because I hear so many situations of like 6, 7 dates, and at that point you have so much momentum with this guy. You don't want to bring it up because the momentum's starting to build. Right. You're like, damn, I'll ruin it. I don't want to scare him, and like you've kind of already built up like an identity with him. Right. That's why I say it's important to do date one. And yes, it's a little
kind of like
extra
get it
focused.
Out of the way.
It's a nice conversation. If he's scared off, he's not ready mentally anyway at that point. It's not, you're not like you're asking him for you. It's not like, hey, do you want it with me? You're asking him, this is what you're interested in. Right. It's not like with you. You know what I mean?
Casual.
Casual.
But I love though,
cashmere.
I saw on one of your things, you said, take the L out of lover, it's over.
Yeah.
I love that expression.
Yeah, take the L out of lover. This one's done, cooked, over.
Yeah, done.
Love bombing. You brought it up. How do you spot love bombing versus genuine excitement? I feel like I have an answer for everything. In this, I have no fucking clue. So I'm curious.
Well, it depends, right? I think that there's a couple of terms out there that are a little overused, which kind of like automatically bring down the value of the definition. Like narcissistic is one that you just can't stop hearing. Like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work the way it's like, this guy was a narcissist. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
okay,
true.
well, they're
Yeah.
all not narcissists, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, love bombing is another one of those terms that are just so widely used that it's kind of lost its meaning. You
Right.
know, and at some point, it was really like somebody that's overinflating you and showing you so much that he might pull back at some point.
Right.
But
Or-
now it's gotten to the point where it's like, well, what is love bombing? Because everybody fucking uses it
Right,
for
it's
everything that
true.
happens. Like, oh, he texts you too much, now he's love bombing you. He shows you too much interest, then it didn't work out, he love bombed me. It's like, not necessarily. Sometimes guys, just like everybody else, is looking for a companion, or looking for somebody to listen to them. They're looking
Right.
for somebody to talk to. And sometimes guys can be kind of idiots, and they can't take the cues, and they don't know how to push and pull a little bit. Guys can come on too strong if they're a little bit desperate, or if they don't have a lot of other options. They tend to come on and say, okay, I need to close this because, you know, I'm
Interesting.
not.
Loving this approach.
Yeah.
Loving
I mean,
it.
it's typically that's the case. Like when
Right.
a guy's overextending himself, most of the time he's like, well, you know, I really like her and I want her to know that, but it's the lack of experience that knows that can really shut a girl off in 2024.
Right.
This isn't like back in the 60s where, like, you know, she wants you to show up at her door with flowers. Like,
Right.
really, that's
We didn't even have that expression way back then.
No, of course
You
not.
were truly love bomb though.
No, I absolutely was. But I think that, like, I think the way I think about love bombing, I don't even want to get into that, but is more so in the things that the guy or girl, I do think it leans more guy though, if we're being honest here, is that the things and like they're saying and doing. So like not so much like showing up with flowers on your door, but more just so like being so heavily communicative about like the future really early on.
agreed.
Like
And
does
so
that-
all in.
and like so not even just so all in. I think there's a world where it can be so all in. I think it's just like there's a fine line and a boundary of like, oh, this is so nice, he's really into me, or like, is this too optimistic in a way?
Yeah, and there's one that's really important about this too, because like I do agree with you on that.
Yeah.
There's one that's important. When a guy starts buying you things
Right.
early, that's a real big red flag,
Interesting.
in my opinion. In
No, I,
2024, because listen, here's the thing,
I
right?
never had that.
When a guy starts buying you things, because I
Yeah.
took girls
Wait,
all the
this
time.
is a
they're like,
joke. What are they buying?
You're right.
What are they buying?
right,
Who are
right.
these guys?
Any, like, you
Oh,
know,
he sounds great for my friend.
right.
She would love that.
A bag or some
Yeah.
ridiculous, anything, right? Like, oh, a trip. Like these things, these are subtle cues that like he's trying to make up for something. He doesn't really want to
Right.
get you to know him. He wants to get you to know what he could do for you, and it's too quick.
I
Where-
like that. He doesn't want
Yeah.
you to get to know him. He wants you to get to know what he can do for you. Period. Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants you to like
That's
see
an
him
ick.
as this,
That's
like
an
the guy.
ick.
It's an ick.
She's so
It
modern.
Wait,
is.
look, we'll take the bag and then buy.
I don't disagree with you. You should take the bag if that's the case. If he's an idiot like that, if he's
Right.
a dummy like that, take the bag.
Yeah.
Back
That's
and
what I
run,
agree.
ladies.
Yeah, that's it.
Take it back and run.
Skedaddle.
I love that. I love that. Oh. Texting after the first date. Oh no, we talked about these already. Oh my God, check. Okay.
But we always have the texting after the first date, like you, because we had this together.
Oh, we
like
had
I
to
would
debate
say,
it.
yeah.
After a first date, like texting thank you. As a guy, do you expect that? Or
Like you would say you thank them after the date. You're like, thank you so much, blah, 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 blah.
right.
I think that because it's like it's more rare now than ever, guys really do appreciate that if you like them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes a big difference.
Texting them the next day.
My mind shift changed. Fun fact. When I was like earlier 20 years, I used to think like no, I thanked him the night before. I don't want to interrupt his mindset on if he wants to reach out to me without me initiating it. But then when I got a little more mature, let's call it, I was like, fuck it. If I want to communicate with him, I'm texting him the next day and saying thank you again.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
in the hopes
Agreed.
that he would ask you out again.
Oh yeah, if I know interest.
Yeah, but if he likes you, he'll appreciate your like.
Right.
You're like, wow, she actually appreciates me spending the money or whatever, or
Right.
planning it or whatever it was.
Right.
Guys really like that from girls they like. Like if he doesn't respond to you, then obviously didn't like it.
Guys are like weak little sensitive babies too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
But they really are simple creatures.
There's
That is a classic Dave Crevette line. That's my
Yeah,
dad.
yeah.
My dad,
Dave Crevette.
no, literally number one listener here too. He like truly is always like, Danielle. He would Danielle me. My name is Danielle, but everyone calls me Danny. Danielle, men are simple creatures. We were just talking about it at the wedding too. Like, I think it should be so obvious and be felt so prevalent when a guy is into you. Like, there's not going to be any games when someone's into you. Simple creatures.
They
And when
really-
it's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
guys really, a lot of girls think guys play games like that. And I'm like, I know it, it feels like they do, but they're not thinking like a chess game here. Like they're really like, if I like her, I'm gonna. They're not like doing these little like, oh, let me see if I can get her to chase me. That doesn't
Like I'm
really,
pulling back. Should I? She's
they
pulling
really
back. Should I pull back?
There's like some game coaches out there, but this is far few in between. Guys really don't do this.
Yeah.
They're like, they just want their Hunger Man. They want to sit up in their with their Hunger Man in their cabin with the dog and just watch some TV.
Are most of your friends single? Do they
No.
come to you for advice? Most of them married?
Guys, yeah. Most of them are either in a relationship or married or something like that. So
I'm starting to realize that women are the problem.
Oh.
No, just because I think what we're talking about how men are simple creatures.
We overthink.
We overthink. Like I trust me, I am a woman and I overthink a lot of things, and like not just outside of dating too. Like I really think maybe we're the ones who like created these games. Like if a guy's pulling back, maybe he's just not pulling back. Maybe he's just busy at work. And I feel like we're just so stuck in this cycle of like these games and these expectations and what you see on social media and what you hear on social media.
Social media has really fucked the game.
But that's why I think like, if you're gonna have content like this, what I love about yours is it's like, it's so realistic. There's a lot of people out there who are like, if he's pulling back, like match his energy, pull back also. Like I don't like the match his energy narrative because I just think there's so much toxic content on there, and I like what you're doing. It's very relatable.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate. Like I think that like one of my thesis is like I'm anti time wasting, and I don't mean to be pressure for not doing that, but like playing these like interest games is a big time waster. I know plenty of girls who go 4 or 5 months a clip playing these like I don't know. Like if you want to see if a guy's interested in you, show him interest.
Yeah,
you'll see real quick.
You'll see so fast.
But they don't like to do that because it kind of puts something on their plate where they'd rather like. Some of them would actually rather like the mystery of like I don't know, like what's the push and pull. There's like a lot of drama attached to it, and then they're like
that's
on
what
TikTok
it is. Drama. I feel like with men, women have drama. Men don't have so much drama.
They really don't.
They really don't.
They don't have much drama, but there's like TikTok is really. And I don't want to blame a platform, but there's like this culture on there that's very gamey about dating. And it gets a lot of time wasted, in my opinion.
Right.
Why is it so difficult though? Because dating is
Social
difficult.
Media. I think we're aware, we're so visible, we're able to see so many things that we're not seeing before. Like, there's so many people giving advice. There's so many people showcasing their dates. There are so many people showing their perfect relationships.
Which aren't so perfect.
Right. Instagram is a highlight reel of the good parts of people's lives. They're not showing what's actually going on in the relationship.
I was happy having an answering machine.
Yeah.
Like I could go out and somebody
she told me
would call
she used to like sit by her answering machine and like wait for the guy to call. So women were always psycho, actually. It's not just a
different way though. But now they have all the tools.
The phone
now it's
and
like
this and
no, you had the home phone.
Yeah, but everything was in real life. Like you would meet somebody in a bar, you go out. It just seemed easier and simpler.
Well, dating now is much more of a mindset, in my opinion.
Right.
I think dating is a mindset. And it's funny because like the ones that you see that like with the worst mindset around dating always tend to get really bad results in dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never really see them have really good, successful, healthy relationships. They always tend to get fucked over. And you're like, why do they get fucked over?
I think I was that person in my early 20s. Not that I was negative about dating. I think I just like had shitty experiences where I was like that girl where it was like, oh, of course I'm going to be seeing the douchebag again. Like it was it became very routine. Not that like I dated a million douchebags, but I'm just saying like, I think I had the mindset where it was like, oh, I had a few bad relationships. Like that's kind of my shtick.
Sure.
And I think once I shifted that where I was like, okay, this was years ago. I need to not think about myself and dating that perspective. That's when the shift happened.
Yeah. No, it's huge.
Very grown up.
No, I'm literally like an adult in my late 20s. It's wild.
I'm literally an adult.
Literally. I think like 25 was like a good year for me. And then 26, I was like, get your shit together. You're an adult now. And now I'm 28 and like I'm a woman.
And then I was like, you have to date with intention.
And I was like, shut the fuck up. You're putting pressure on me.
All right.
Anyway.
I love it. Because it's, that not necessarily yours, what you were talking about, but I notice it, you see it online a lot. So it's kind of, they always tend to get similar results. But when people talk about fuckboys, like that's the pinnacle of what a fuckboy chases. And I did a video earlier. I was talking about, that's like an injured gazelle. It's like when you see an injured gazelle, you're like, look at that. Look at her limp.
Yeah.
Like you could just feel, how hurt she is. And you're like, damn, that's dinner.
Yeah.
That's easy. And it's so dinner for me right now because.
And then they go in for the kill.
Because it's a challenge, but it's not really a challenge it's like a challenge to dominate. It's like I need to show her she's really not this tough. It's something about that attracts fuckboys.
Right.
It's like defensive mind around like dating and like A lot of guys really want to like try and conquer that.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
The injured gazelle.
The injured gazelle limping through the mud.
Injured gazelle.
She's crawling through the mud.
I'm like, you're a dick. I want you. I need you.
But I also think all those things you go through take you to where you need to be.
I don't agree.
I feel like they're
Really?
all learning experiences, and
That I
makes you
agree with.
realize what you want, what you don't want. Like you kind of grow out of it too.
I don't agree. I think I agree in the sense where everything is a learning lesson, if we're going to get all like old and like farty here. But what I don't agree with is that I don't think that someone needs to go through a really shitty relationship to realize that they deserve a good one.
But it was all part of your journey.
No, that's my journey. And like, yay, we're over it. But like, I think that doesn't need to happen for someone to realize what they deserve. Like someone could be in many happy relationships and still end up in a happy relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think that
I'm very opinionated if you haven't realized.
No, that's great.
Okay.
First off, everybody that's one piece that's why your content works so because you actually have an opinion on something. And people don't have opinions, it's like, all right, well, so what? You know, it's fluffy, so what?
Fluffy.
But,
Well, the two of you must have a lot of opinions.
oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, probably sit here for 5 hours going back and forth.
Yeah, definitely. And some people, like those bad experiences, they affect them more and they call that, they call it baggage. But some people bring some heavier that like assumptions of all the things that didn't work out into the next guy. And they can't get a good guy because they're concerned about what happened here. And then the next guy's got to pay for it and he's not going to stay around that long.
I saw your video about
Delta?
Delta. Can you say it again? It's so good.
What did I say?
You were like,
it was kind of spur of the moment.
don't just bring your carry-on, like bring all your suitcases.
Oh yeah, no, I said, the next good guy, he's gonna see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you got baggage. Go. We can't fit in. Delta. You're gonna have to put it in Spirit.
Yeah.
Spirit's got those. But we can't fit in the carry-on or below.
Yeah.
Done.
Oversized.
Yeah. What are we doing here? Baggage. Hello.
We talked about burnout a little bit before. You mentioned it briefly, but how can people avoid burnout in dating? Because I feel like it really can get exhausting, and it is a mindset. So what can people do to continue to stay positive about it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think one of the big things is stay off of like dating content online, even if that's
I love that you're saying that, and it's
even if it's
literally your content.
I agree. I agree because I'm one of many, and like people always tell me like, well, so and so didn't say this. You say this. Okay. Well, think for yourself. You test out the waters.
Yeah.
If you don't like what I say, then test everybody else's shit and then trial and error your way to success. I don't really give a shit.
Right.
Like I'm telling you what I think is work because it's built on open communication, honesty, leading with love. Don't play no games. Don't waste no time. If you don't, if it doesn't make sense to you, if you want to do the other side, do the other side.
You have such a nice way about you.
No,
like even when you do your content, that's how I found
Yeah,
it.
the way you communicate is great.
Yeah.
Are you on dates? Like, do you talk about your content a lot? Like, do girls say like, okay, you're a dating
When I was on
expert?
dates, no.
Oh, when? Oh,
Yeah, I don't-
serious.
I don't-
We're
yeah, I
serious.
don't-
Oh,
Okay.
So we're making it a fish soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. We'll see, but I
Okay,
don't
we
know.
can cut
I
this
don't.
part out of
No, it's okay because I get a lot. The people always ask me, but like most people, it depends how they ask. Like some people are looking for a reason to not validate the content, so they're like, "Oh, why don't you get what you preach about?" And I'm like, "All right, well, if I've been married for 5 years, all you would tell me is you've been at the dating game for so long. What do you know?"
Yeah,
Right.
there's literally no winning.
Double
Yeah.
edge,
Right.
Like so. But
when you used to go on dates,
Oh, yeah.
You've been doing this for 2 years, you said? Or how long?
but a little over a year actually.
Okay. But were you with your girlfriend a little over a year ago?
No.
Okay, because I was going to say it must be not intimidating to go on a date with you, but like
Yeah, like you're
It is
like
a little
a
different.
man in the know versus
Yeah, it
like
is a
other
little
men who
different.
are usually clueless.
Yeah, it
No
is a little
offense,
different, right?
men.
Because like you get held to a different standard.
Yes.
Nowadays. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, what did he do there? What does that mean?
Like
But there's too much meaning.
kind of knows what he's talking about
yeah,
here.
yeah. It's like,
Right.
but there's so much meaning to everything. Like they'll be like, oh, why would he do that? Did he
Right.
talks about this? That means
Right.
that. I'm like, well, it's not really that.
Yeah, it would
Also,
be fun
you're-
to go on a date with him to see how he communicates
No,
because he
totally.
communicates so well.
Totally.
Well, yeah. I mean, and when I did, I would always ask right off the bat. I'd say, so what are you looking for? Do you care about marriage? I would ask that right off the bat. Not the first 5
Respect.
minutes. I'm saying in the date though.
Hey, Benny, do you want to get married?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I would
Yeah.
ask though.
Right.
Because because depends, right? In my 20s, I didn't give a shit. I don't care about
Right.
that. I just wanted to see
Oh
where
my
the
God, you're
head was
probably the
at.
best
Wait,
to argue with.
no, I'm
because that's how
laughing.
it's so rational.
Danny would bring out her baby name list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got a baby name list?
Do I? It's like literally 4
course you
fucking
do.
pages long.
Oh,
like ones
shit.
that are highlighted that like are definite.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So can you imagine
No.
you go, oh, are you looking to get married? Yeah, here's my kid's name.
My kid's name is we're
You ever
definitely
see
having a
those
boy or
memes
girl.
where like people can like make deals like, all right, where are you gonna live? All right, let's do here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many kids? 2? Okay, what about 3? 3? Okay,
Right.
3.
No,
She's
Then
like
they-
Danny,
in
what
a
you-
relationship, I'm full blown like funny psycho. What would you say is the biggest thing people fuck up in the beginning of dating?
Bad communication. Always, in my opinion, like
Yeah.
they don't ask the right questions. They have a fear. They're not tech. It's all about the text. I did a video the other day where it's like there's 4 kind of main forms of communication right off the bat. I mean, I'm talking about digitally.
Yeah.
You got text. You got voice notes. You got
I love
calls.
a good voice
and
note.
FaceTimes. Those are the weights.
Yeah.
Right. The text the lowest.
Yeah.
Nobody really gets you. Always out of context. Anxiety spikes.
Yeah.
The other 3 are really where you want to live. Voice
Yeah.
notes for context and like you want to get to know them a little bit better.
a
I love voice
note.
notes.
Love.
Calls and FaceTimes. Everything else is just, it's confusing for people. And that's why the
Right.
early stages is just so hard for people. They're like, what did that mean? Why would he do this? He didn't answer for 3 hours. What is going on? Like,
Right.
you're like, what? Relax, girl. Chill
Yeah.
the fuck out. So there's that. And I think that's probably one of the biggest common denominators of why things tend to fail. It's like bad communication, lack of transparency, not asking the right questions. And that's kind of all around like being purposefully dating. in my
It
opinion.
must be so hard though now. And like, say you text a guy and then you could, they read it and then the little bubble comes up, but then they don't write anything.
Well, that's if like you're heavily watching.
Right. But that's what it is. But
Yeah.
I've seen that in action when we were in the Hamptons with all the girls around. And it's like kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah,
like,
well, when like
oh
I
my
have
God, they're not
friends
going to say
over, it's like-
anything.
yeah, yeah, no,
You guys
it's
are like all
very
you
stressful.
guys. You ever see those ones that like girls that have it on the screen, like
Oh.
Texas with the guys? You do that?
We've totally done that, and we used to like put up when I was single. We used to put dating apps up on Apple Play.
And
or
she's
what's it
so
called?
fast.
Screenplay.
She's like, no. I'm like, wait, I'm trying to look.
Yeah, no, we're weird.
No, it's not weird. It's fun.
So fun.
So how did you meet your boyfriend now?
Set up.
Ah,
Yeah, mutual friend.
that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, to tie it up with a bow,
Oh.
we always like to ask our guests, what would be one piece of advice you can give? I think specific for you is just to whether you're a new dater, you're getting burnt out in dating. What's one piece of advice you've heard or that you've given that you would like to share?
Sure. I think because I said dating was a mindset, I think it's important to like enter out here with a new optimistic framework to think, to see and think through, because it could be very easy to go online and start thinking about all the terrible things that have happened to other people and other women and everything else. Regardless if you're a guy or girl, I do think that will carry you very far, and you tend to
Right.
attract what you are. So that to me is like the pinnacle. Like I can almost feel when somebody comes in with a certain framework and how they see people. I already kind of know. I was like, this is not going to go good for them. I could just feel it, and
Interesting, I
it
like that.
typically never does. Like I don't know a single case where I've spoken to somebody like who's just can't stand this and just like tired and sick of it, that
Yeah.
they're like they landed Superman. Like it's just
Right.
really difficult.
Well, you're
So-
going to bring in the energy that you're giving off.
Yeah. So I think if you can make a decision to just say, you know what, let me reset, let me refocus, let me recalibrate, let me think about dating differently. Let me get off over here and stop listening to this. Let me start listening to things that make sense to me, that maybe lead a little bit more with love and optimistic approaches that will maybe increase my chances of success of getting a good dude. Because you have to think about, what the other, you want to become somebody that's qualifying for the kind of person you want. And like
Right.
that's kind of, that's the framework I think that gives you most power in any scenario. It's like, who do I need to become? So
Love that.
that's kind
And
of-
I also love that you say, you have to put put yourself in places where people you would vibe with.
Totally. And that's
Yeah.
like that's the thing, right? That's the first piece is the proximity. Like, you say, oh, okay, we'll define your archetype of guy. What age range? What's his lifestyle like? Just think about where would I go to enhance and increase the chances of me bumping into this guy? And
Yeah, it might not be at the club. It might be at the golf course.
right. It might not be at 11 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, give me a fucking break. What are we
Yeah.
talking about here?
Right.
Then you complain about where these guys at. Why would you think you're going to find I don't understand.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I
just,
agree.
it's not about guarantees. It's about how do I put myself in positions to increase my chances. It's not like,
Right.
no guarantees. But
Right. Hear that, ladies and men? For 2025.
Yeah, New Year's
2025.
resolution. You're fabulous. I already know my
appreciate
mom after this is going to be saying how obsessed she is with you for the next like 48 hours.
You're adorable.
Oh, I appreciate you guys.
And the
You're best.
boxing and the fitness, you're in good
Wait,
shape.
you're getting weird. Anyway,
making me blush. Damn.
literally. Oh my God. Should I leave?
Yeah, I think so. I'm blushing now.
Dad, stop listening. Where can people find you on social media? What are your handles and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Benny Inc. BENNYINC.
Love
on
it.
TikTok and Instagram.
All the platforms. Well,
all the
thank you so much for being
Yeah,
here.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. You guys are the best.
Thank you.
So much fun too.
Oh my God, I'm so glad to hear
So much
that.
fun.
Because
Like,
it's
it's
like
not, like,
still new
serious,
for
it's
us.
fun.
So we're like, what's the vibe?
No, it's so much fun.
We love a good vibe check.
I love it.
And also, if you're listening, vibe check us too. Thank you for listening. Always like, subscribe, all those good things. And we'll see you next week.